Can I riff a virtual world? Oh hell yeah! I'm the damn watcher of the 2000s! So, Neopets has a world called Neopia that's divided into several locations with a different theme each. Most of the new areas were introduced through various plot events. I'll go as far as I kept playing Neopets. So I'll stop at Rue Island. No Altador, no Moltara, no Shenku. The main capital location of Neopia is Neopia Central. It's where most of the shops are. That's its main thing. It also has the bank, auction house, and other things like that. There's also the money tree, where freeloaders try to get free stuff that other players donate. If you go to the marketplace, you can find a cute winged lady called the Soup Fairy, and if you're poor, your pets get to eat endlessly for free. As for each themed world, they all have shops and pages that show what the theme painted versions of pets are, so I'll be skipping over those. There is Rue Island, a mini area themed after the Bloomaroo pet, where you have access to a game called Diceroo, which is just a simple chance game based on dice. No monsters, no dungeons, just dice. Here you can also access the games rooms and Neo homes. Did I mention you can decorate a home sim style? Kinda pointless because you can't invite other players over, but whatever. This place gives off a creepy People's Temple vibe because it seems like everyone here, especially the king, is all about happiness and fun to really uneasy levels. It's like staying at Disneyland for like 5 days straight. The other mini zone is Kiko Lake, based on the Kiko limited edition pet. All there is here is shops, coloring pages, and a glass bottom boat tour that you don't actually take. Yeah, this place sucks. Up to the north is Tyrannia, which is prehistoric based. This place has two of the wheels, monotony and mediocrity. There's a concert hall where you can pay thousands of Neo points in order to watch a 5-second flash loop. This area holds the only jump scare in the game, where you can go into the cave of a pterodactyl that roars like a T-Rex. 3, 2... The last major landmark of Tyrannia is the giant omelet, where you can get free food that feeds 3 times, once per day. If you try again, Saber X, the guy watching the omelet, stops you. And if that makes you annoyed, you have the option to go to the Battle Dome and fight him over this 10 Neo point food item. Go down south and you reach the next world, Meridell. This is a medieval-based world, and the only world that's fought multiple wars, though it is the Dark Ages. And we have a very corrupt king. I'll get to that when I discuss the Meridell plot. Here you can bet on racing of turtle pets. If you're lucky, you win 5 times your bet amount, which is up to 1,500, so there's a potential 6,000 profit. There's a farm where you try to guess the weight of a marrow plant, but I've never gotten it right. And this guy will always rub in your face that there were awesome items if only I just got it right. I hate this guy so much. The other game was Potato Counter, where you count the number of potatoes on screen. And if you do it fast, the guy pays you. Yeah, thanks man. How's the whole being a medieval farmer thing working out? If you want people to count your stuff and you're gonna check anyway, why do you need us? Are you just really good at counting? Are you just an ass clown who loves it when you tell people they're wrong like that Marrow guy? I know this is just a website and I'm not supposed to think about this, but in an MMOG that's so heavy on economics, I can't help but ask how this guy makes money. There's the game, Pick Your Own, which you pay 400 Neo points to go find stuff, which is usually piles of dung and berries that never sell for more than 20 Neo points. Then in the castle, you can try to tell the king a joke, because he's always pissed off. I don't blame him. I could have Ricky Gervais as my court jester and I'd still be annoyed if I live in a town with the world's stupidest potato farmer and that Marrow guy. There's also Termaculus, a giant Termac pet that is always asleep, except when you wake him up. Sometimes he'll bless your pet, and sometimes he'll eat him. You can get revenge for him eating your pet though by beating him up in the Battle Dome, which I'll cover later. The neighboring kingdom is Brightvale, themed after intelligence, which is ruled by King Hagen. Aside from the Wheel of Knowledge, this place is just full of shops. One of them is dedicated to stained glass windows. There's a market for people who like this stuff, I guess. And this king is a game too, except instead of trying to tell him a joke, you're trying to blow this guy's mind. Which is difficult because he spends all day studying instead of ruling his kingdom. Brightvale is boring. To the west, there is the Haunted Woods, where the theme is spooky stuff. The main area is quests galore. There's also the choose your own adventure game, The Haunted House. It's kinda fun. Then the deserted fairground area is for a bunch of games which I covered already, and scratch cards. Scratch card kiosks are all over the world. The one in the Haunted Woods are the most expensive and can be bought the most frequently. Then we go down to the Lost Desert, which is harder to pinpoint on the map than the other locations. The main attraction of the desert is Kulton's Shrine, which is a once per day event. It's a magical shrine where you get blessed by King Kulton, the deceased ruler of the city of Sekhmet. I don't know how Kulton acquired godlike powers post-mortem to create items out of thin air and give your pets levels and stats, but I'm not complaining. That was quite an off-screen apotheosis, Kulton. Thanks for your kindness. The Lost Desert also contains a bunch of gambling games, like Pyramids, which my friend told me was a good source of Neo points, but I still don't know anything about it, despite all my attempts to research it, and Sekhmet Solitaire, which you can probably figure out. There's scratch cards here too, which I recall were added quite a bit after the ones in Haunted Woods and Terror Mountain. Terror Mountain is to the very north. It's not very terrifying though. It has 3 sections: the Happy Valley Town, the Mysterious Ice Caves, and the Summit. The Happy Valley is full of shops, and there's the game Snow Wars, which is Battleship, but without Liam Neeson, and with square-shaped targets. The opponents in this game are very amusing to me. In Neopets, almost every character is a Neopet, but these guys aren't. There's a dude in a scarf, a snowman, Santa, a sentient snow cone that was rejected from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, a purple monkey, the green goblin that claims to be an elf, a robot, a sentient tree, an evil-looking star, and some crazy-looking head with tentacle hair called Tentar. This roster of opponents is simply unlike anything I've ever seen on Neopets. Why are we dueling Santa? Who the hell is Tentar? Why a robot ball? You couldn't have designed a bunch of stock Neopets dressed in fur coats for this? Oh well, I enjoy it. It's just so surreal compared to the rest of the site. The ice case has the neggery, so in Neopets, negs are a weird eggy planty thing that offers some immediate benefits if eaten, but often costs a lot. The neggery is where you cash in on negs to buy better negs. Doesn't that sound fun? Yeah, I thought so. There's also the Snow Wager. Basically, he's a dragon that collects loot, and he falls asleep at certain hours. You can go and try to collect some stuff from him, and sometimes you can find decent items, but the rest of the time he'll blast your Neopets down to 0 health because he's badass. No kidding, he's the hardest Battledome challenger, even today. The top of the mountain has 2 special shops. First is the Igloo Garage Sale, where you have to click to find out what they're selling, and it's usually really cheap. And the Shop of Mysteries, which sells mysterious bags that could have items in them, but you gotta just see if there's something nice. That's a great scam, by the way. I gotta try it someday. There's also a toy repair shop, but we found out last time that fixed toys are cheaper than broken ones, so don't go to this guy. He has no place in this economy. Get lost, Donnie. Everyone wants broken toys. Now we go down to Krawk Island, which has the theme of pirates. There's no killing, pillaging, raping, or anything that pirates actually did. It's just that everyone speaks funny, and doubloon coin items are the only usable currency here. So that's the only special thing about the shops. You have to pay in doubloons. There's a training school for pets up to level 40 where you can train stats. There's the Smuggler's Cove, which sells super expensive and powerful items, but I've never seen them have anything in stock. Otherwise, we just have a bunch of gambling games, one of which is called Crops. Ha! I get it! There's the restaurant called the Golden Doubloon, where you can buy food and eat it. I have no idea why you would do this normally, because you can feed your pets for 28 days for 140 Neopoints. I guess the only reason is that if you want to try and take one of those items home for your pets being too full, you can sell them for a lot of Neopoints. Now to Mystery Island. I don't know a thing about it. No, just kidding. It's a tribal Polynesian themed location. We have Tombola, a more advanced training school, and multiple places for fortune reading, with the Island Mystic and a daily haiku. Yeah, fun for the reader types. There's tours of Mystery Island that are uninteresting, but do set the environment well, I guess. Also, there's a cooking pot run by the Island Fairy that lets you mix certain items in order to create new ones, including pets. Yeah, throw 2 living creatures into a boiling pot, see what happens. There's the lost city of Giraffe Tiku as well. It has the Deserted Tomb, which is a freebie place that might also damage your pets, like the Snow Wager, but not as frightening. Also, since the theme of this place is a lost city, the pet shop has no store owner. It's just a sign that says, please leave money in the jar. And there's a bunch of pets. And guess what? You can haggle with the sign. It will talk to you. This place is clearly haunted. More haunted than the Haunted Woods. At least I can see the ghosts there. Underwater we have the lost city of Maraqua. This place was actually a thing in the early days, but was destroyed in a whirlpool, then rediscovered and rebuilt. The ruins of the old city mainly has a fishing place to get free stuff, and at one point there was a statue of a major character called the Darkest Fairy, which is a dark fairy, but darker. The new Maraqua has nothing really of note, except they have their own version of the Golden Doubloon restaurant called Kelp, which I must say is one of the most unwelcoming names I can think of. Here you pay a large amount of Neopoints instead of doubloons, so I never found a use for this either. It just sucks. Unless you really want a secret avatar. Did I mention secret avatars? Okay, when people look you up, you can't customize your own icon, so you pick one of an existing pet or something. But in places throughout the site, you can pick up more exclusive ones to show off how awesome you are, and many players go out of their ways to collect secret avatars. Then we have Faerieland, the land of the fairies. Fairies are the only humanoid thing you're gonna see in Neopets besides the inexplicable Tiki Tack Man and Santa. And this is where most of them are, on a giant magical cloud. The Wheel of Excitement is here, as are the Healing Springs, which can heal your pets for free. There's the Rainbow Fountain as well, which supposedly can paint your pets any color, but it's never working. There are Poogle races, which are like turtle races, but much lower staked. Then there's the Fairy Caverns, which seems to be quite new, as it wasn't here when I was playing before. And well, you navigate through a cave, and you have to donate 400 Neopoints to get in. Someone's making a killing off this. In the city, we have all the stores and a personality quiz to see what kind of fairy you are. Also, there's the hidden tower that is not labeled, but it's there, and it sells very expensive items, usually weapons. Up we go to space. We have the Virtupets Space Station, which is all about the alien Grundo species. There are so many games here because space is cool. The main attraction is that you can adopt a Grundo, and there's the Lever of Doom, which tells you not to pull it, and when you do, as far as I see, it invariably steals 100 Neopoints from you. So why would you pull it more than once? Or twice? Well, if you have too much money, or more practically, you just want to collect the avatar. The Neopian moon, Kreludor, populated by orange Grundos, is also a place. It's boring. And people might be curious about Jelly World. Too bad! It doesn't exist! There's not a giant jelly that functions very similar to the Omelet, nor are there a bunch of games that you wouldn't be able to find in the games room. Jelly World is a lie. On to the final location I'll cover, Lutari Island. This isn't working. By the way, the Lutari species were just created to promote the Neopets mobile service, and I don't have much reliable information, but I'm an educated person on the subject, so I can make an educated guess. Lutaris are drones to serve their hive master, Lord Necron, who is hidden beneath the island. Lord Necron has a bigger plan to take over the site itself instead of just the world within it. By accessing the site, he can access the emails of every person who has an account, infecting many of our computers and mobile devices. Every time we see a Lutari, it's taking our information down to Lord Necron, and his plans are being covered up by an artificial storm around the island, and he makes all the colors of his island look very non-threatening, with bright greens, reds, and blues so we don't suspect a thing. He's out there, and we need to stop him! Hurry! Spread the word! Wait, what? Neopets Mobile has been gone since 2009? Okay, never mind, we're safe. Hey, you know what I like? Grabbing people's groceries. We got quests. The first type of quest is the fairy quest, which you can't do when you feel like it. You can't go up to them and ask if you can buy them stuff. You have to be approached by these fairies. So it's the opposite of our societal expectations. Am I right, guys? So these fairies all have different types of items they want and different rewards, and because these quests would be stupidly easy otherwise, you're not allowed to use the shop wizard to find these items. What they ask for is interesting. Fire fairies want clothes and will give strength to your active pet if you bring it to her. Do fire fairies have a temper? Do they regularly burn their clothes? Dark fairies want cheap toys. I guess because something is dark, that doesn't mean they're monsters who are bad. Or they're making Chucky dolls. Well, if you help them, you get health, so no skin off your bones. The air fairies want grooming and beauty products because looking like this isn't easy. It is odd that they look more made up than a race of beings that all look super made up. You get movement as a reward, but it's the useless stat. Earth fairies want magic items like potions in return for random stats. Of all of these, this one feels like it makes a little more sense. Fairies are magical beings. The Light Fairy will grant you a level if you bring them collectible cards. Did I mention those? Well, you can collect cards in Neopets. It's a hobby to have, and an excuse for cool art of certain characters you like. The explanation I found on the site is that they use these cards to predict the future. I guess these cards just all double as tarot cards. The Water Fairies want books in return for defense points. You'd think that books are the one thing you want to keep away from water-based beings, but alright. Then there's the special fairy quests. First is the Battle Fairy, who asks for slightly rare items. She'll grant health, strength, and defense as a reward. The Fountain Fairy asks for fairly rare items, and as a reward you can access the Rainbow Fountain, which can paint your pet almost any color. That's weird. She says it's not working whenever you visit the fountain normally. This bitch has been holding out on us. She only pretends it's not working. The Space Fairy asks for a range of potentially rare items, and her reward is 4 levels, which is quite a lot. And then there's the Fairy Queen, Fiora, who asks for mostly rare items, and will reward you with a level and 4 points of strength and health, which is twice as much as the normal fairies. Also, since I've been gone, they added a new quest called the Crafting Fairy, who wants things that take Neocash, which costs actual money. So screw her. She's literally an avatar for the site to gold dig you. That's all for fairy quests. Before I move on to the Neopian quests, let me address this thing called jobs. You can take jobs to collect a bunch of items for a Neopoints reward. It's kind of like a quest, but with none of the interaction from NPCs, and it's just much more boring in that sense. Now to the quests that can be done over and over multiple times a day, but have a time limit that is usually 1 to 3 hours. First is the Snow Fairy. She asks for multiple food items and generally gives the best item of these types of quest givers. I wonder how she eats so much. And then there's the Kitchen Chef on Mystery Island. He needs to feed a really big coconut head dude named Mumbo Pango, who's really big. You could call him Mumbo Jumbo and it'd fit. This guy usually wants chocolates and just random items, including stuff you generally can't eat. In return, you are rewarded with Neopoints and quite often stat increases. This makes this guy a good way to train if you get a good quest. Then in the Haunted Woods, there's Edna the Witch. She usually asks for cheap random items and gives the smallest rewards, often a spooky food that costs like 10 Neopoints. Her quests are generally not worth your time, but I do enjoy her character personality with all the insane cackling. The Esophager is a giant, sentient mountain. He's always hungry and wants spooky foods that often cost a fortune. No kidding, I've seen ones that cost over 200,000 Neopoints. He gives little rewards on his own. Now, the Brain Tree is the other quest giver, and yes, he's a giant tree of knowledge with a decaying, human-looking brain. You can only do one Brain Tree quest a day. He doesn't want an item. Instead, he wants you to have his question answered. But he has all the right ones. In fact, if you just make something up, he'll tell you that you're wrong. In other words, he's a huge douchebag like the Mero guy. You can only get the answers from the Esophager, and you need to do 2 of his quests. Finding 2 quests in a row of his that doesn't bankrupt you is difficult, but if you get them, the Brain Tree provides great item rewards and the highest number of Neopoints of these major quests. The last quest I'll talk about is Elucin and Judora. Elucin is an Earth Fairy in Meridell, and Judora is a Dark Fairy in Faerieland. They have a slightly different system. You can only do 1 quest a day, and gradually they get more difficult but with really fantastic rewards as you keep going up. You have only 20-ish minutes to get the item the lady wants, or else she starts you back at her level 1 quest. You have to get to about level 30 before the rewards get great. I never liked how these ladies ask for stuff. They would ask, "Where is my," insert item name here, to passive-aggressively ask you to buy them one. Oh, and also, because they hate each other's guts, you can't do one's quest on the same day you did another's. And they know because they check your history and stuff. They'll be like, "I can't believe you did one of her quests." I'm getting weird controlling relationship subtext here. I don't feel comfortable talking about them anymore, so I'll stop. Next time I'll look at the Battle Dome and the early plots of Neopets. See you then!